What's up guys, I'm Josh Elliott, and today I will be talking about movies. This is a new segment that we're doing called mini reviews, and last week I reviewed 11 movies that we had not reviewed on our channel yet. This video will not be as long, but I've only seen one new release since that last video came out, so I thought I would try something a little different this time and just review any movies that I saw over the past week, whether they were new releases or older releases. I don't know if this will end up working out or not. I guess it depends on my schedule, but we're trying it because this is a new thing. So I saw 5 movies over the past week, and the first one that I saw was Halloween. I had actually never seen this movie before, and it was quite an experience. All of my roommates were gone over fall break, and I watched it in our living room, and I was the only one here, and it really freaked me out. I didn't love Halloween. It's a great movie. It's something that needs to be seen by anyone that wants to go into horror. Just the way the camera looms over the characters and uses wide shots and the background to make you constantly wonder where Michael is. It's really effective. It does have its problems though. The acting isn't that great. It's very clear that this was a low-budget movie with amateur actors. Jamie Lee Curtis is actually really good, mainly because she's the only character that actually screams when she's in danger. All of the death scenes in this movie are so overacted, I could not take them seriously. When the characters are like being choked to death, they're just going, So the death scenes aren't very effective, but everything leading up to them is really freaky. Michael Myers has earned his status as a true horror movie villain. And I think the best thing about Halloween is that even though it's not super scary when you're watching it, because mainly it's so iconic that you go into it knowing most of the stuff that's gonna happen, but it has a lasting effect on you that continues long after the movie is over. I think that's a really impressive feat for a movie. So obviously Halloween is a classic. Great movie. I didn't love it, but really glad I saw it. Really liked it. I'll give it an 8. So the next 2 movies that I saw were a double feature that were being shown in a screening room by some students here at OCU. The first one was the Stanford Prison Experiment. This movie tells the story of the infamous Stanford Prison Experiments, which were conducted in the 1970s and had a bunch of college boys simulate a prison. Half of them were prisoners and the other half were guards. And it was intended to take these completely normal, perfectly sound of mind people and put them in this environment where they're stripped of their identities, or in the guards' case, they're given power over individuals, and see what happens. And the end result is haunting. It's very freaky how quickly this experiment goes completely downhill due to the power structures established by these people that are refusing to intervene in this experiment that is clearly causing so many boys emotional trauma. It really does feel like we are locked in this environment with the boys, and after Googling a lot of the information about the Stanford Prison Experiments, this movie is very accurate. They didn't over-exaggerate very much. All of the actors are fantastic. No one particularly stands out, but it feels like an immersive ensemble cast that really cared about this story, and you get so much from each one of their individual performances. My eyes were glued to the screen every second of this movie. It's really fascinating, especially if you're interested in psychology. I will give it an 8. The second movie that was shown at this screening was a very different movie than the Stanford Prison Experiment, and that is An American Werewolf in London, which I had also never seen. This freaking movie. I understand that this movie isn't meant to be taken that seriously. It's more quirky and dumb than it is actually scary, but I couldn't really get around to liking it. I think at times it's enjoyable, especially when it goes totally crazy. Like the transformation scene is really cool. The scene where he wakes up naked in the zoo is really funny. But the movie's presented so casually that I really couldn't care much about what was happening or the characters involved. I'm not quite sure if there were supposed to be many emotional stakes, but I think that would have been made up for if the movie fully embraced its wackiness, and I feel like it almost did, but it just didn't. And that's because I think this movie is edited very poorly. Whenever he is this werewolf that's attacking people, it always cuts away right before something interesting is about to happen. And sometimes the cuts work for comedic effect, but other times it just feels jarring and random, and that's the main thing that I was focused on the entire movie. It has such odd transitions from scene to scene. It felt very unnatural, not cohesive. And the end, oh my god, the end. I don't know if that ending was supposed to be as jarring and funny as it was, but I thought it was hysterical. Maybe An American Werewolf in London is just an acquired taste, and I do not pertain to that taste. I'm glad I saw it. I thought it was fun and wacky, but I could not get around those weird edits, and the movie itself didn't feel very complete to me, so I'll give it a 5. The next movie I saw is a film I watched in my History of Motion Pictures class called Bicycle Thieves. Bicycle Thieves is an Italian film about a man living in poverty who is given a job opportunity provided that he owns a bike. He and his wife spend a lot of their money so that he can acquire this bike and keep his job, only for the bike to be stolen on his very first day. He spends the entire rest of the movie traveling around this city with his son, trying to find this bike. And you wouldn't think that a movie that's literally just about finding a bike would be as riveting as it is. Maybe riveting isn't the right word, but it's so immersive and you care so much about this man. The story is just so simple and pure, and you can't help but care about these characters involved and want them to succeed. It's very simple to follow, but it's also very profound in its messages. The score is absolutely gorgeous and heartbreaking, and the visuals are just beautiful. It's one of the most visually striking black and white movies I've ever seen. So I think Bicycle Thieves has earned its right as a classic of American films. I mean, not like it needed my approval or anything, but I really liked it. If you're interested in older movies, I would definitely check this one out. I'll give it an 8. And to round up this whole video, the final movie I saw this past week was the 2018 Halloween. I think one of the main reasons that people are loving this movie is because it's the best of the Halloween sequels. However, I have not seen any of the Halloween sequels. I've only seen the original Halloween, and as you know, I saw it just 1 week ago for the first time. So I am fresh off of the original Halloween, so going into this one, I was a bit disappointed. I don't think it's bad. I actually think it's a pretty good movie, but I do think it has quite some issues. Good things though, I think this film is very respectful of its source material. They clearly cared about this, and I really appreciate it. A lot of the scares are effective, and unlike the original Halloween, a lot of the death scenes are actually good. My issues though are that it seems to shy away from trying to do anything profoundly new. I feel like they could have gone much further with Laurie's character and her obsession over Michael and the strain that could have caused the family later on in the story, as opposed to just the beginning. There's a twist about the psychiatrist character toward the end of the movie that's really interesting, and then they get rid of it about 5 minutes later. Also, I think Michael was featured in this story a little too much. One of the best parts of the original Halloween is that you never really know where Michael is. You feel his presence even though he's not on camera. Whereas in this movie, he's kind of just everywhere all the time, and he may be just as threatening, but I don't think he's as scary if you show him as much as this movie does. Although I do think this new Halloween movie is fun. It's definitely a worthy sequel to the original, and if you're a fan of the Halloween movies, I would definitely check it out. But I think they could have pushed it further than they did, so I'll give it a 6. So, what did you think of these movies? If you have seen them, be sure to let us know in the comments below. Click here to subscribe, click here to watch our last video. Also, follow our Instagram account, link is in the description. Also, my Letterboxd account is in the description. Thank you guys so much. Peace out.